So, Kuki was a disaster. What about Yelan? Well, let's just say she might be overpowered, and by overpowered, I mean extremely overpowered. In short terms, she is a 5-star Xingqiu. But before we continue to talk about her, it's time for your daily seduction.
Hey baby, no need to feel frightened or anything. It's just me. I just wanted to let you know that you're sexy, strong, and oh so gorgeous. If you want more compliments like this, then please subscribe so I could tell you how beautiful you are every single day.
Okay, back to the video. So Yelan, like I said before, she's a 5-star Xingqiu, and she's just better all around. But why? Well, let's look into her kit, and I promise I will be uber swift. Her normals are dazzling and stylish, but not worth it. She does have a new charge shot mechanic that procs when she is out of combat for 5 or more seconds. Afterward, her next charge shot charges up 80% faster and deals AoE hydro damage based on her max HP. Oh yeah, did I mention that she has the 4th highest HP pool in the game, and everything she does scales off of HP? Oh, I forgot. Oops. Anyways, her skill is next, and it has a tap and a hold version. Tap has her dash forward quickly, and the hold version sends her Naruto running into the battlefield. In either of these modes, any enemy she touches will be marked. After her skill is finished, the mark will explode, dealing damage based on her own HP. Now her burst, which is very similar to Xingqiu's. She first deals AoE hydro damage at her location, and then sends out a die that will fire 3 missiles whenever the active character normal attacks, but it has a post-fire similar to Xingqiu's of 1 second, so it can fire up to 15 times. However, it can also fire one other way. If she uses her skill while her burst is active, the last enemy tagged by her skill will also get pelted by the 3 missiles from the die. This will always happen, so theoretically, you can burst, normal, dash, normal, and get 3 barrages assaulting an enemy at the same time. Her burst also does not snapshot. She got them passives too, which are all crazy. Her Ascension 1 passive grants her an HP bonus based on how many different elements are in your party, similar to Yunjin's passive. This actually scales really well, but just like Yunjin, is not really worth building a team around it. So for calculations later on, I will use this passive at 3 stacks, since that's where it will most likely fall. Her A1 is also a great damage boost that buffs the current character on the field to just deal more damage over time, because she also definitely needed to be able to support on top of dealing immense damage. Okay, so now we know what she does, and well, as you can see, she's just more damage-oriented Xingqiu. It's to the point where she's even able to outscale a Xingqiu at C6, even if she does not have any constellations. Yelan's burst also has the same uptime as Xingqiu's, but with less downtime if he doesn't have his C2, and it also has less of an energy cost. Unlike last video where I compared Kuki to so many other characters to give an idea of how she compares to the rest of the cast, I will only compare Yelan to Xingqiu because they will serve the same function essentially. These builds I made for them are hyper-invested and essentially godlike. These builds are literally impossible to obtain because the artifact system is garbage. For both of them, I used an emblem set and basically gave them a bajillion crit value to compare. Xingqiu is using an R1 Jade Cutter and Yelan is using an R1 Aqua Simulacra. I'm also not taking into consideration defenses and resistances. Yes, because really. First I will compare their bursts and then their skills. I will start with the Xingqiu to show the power he gains from his constellations just with his burst. Xingqiu shoots off 2 swords, then 3, and repeats until C6. At C6 he shoots 2, then 3, then 5. Each sword deals 78,029 damage too. As you can see, constellations on Xingqiu are absurdly important on him. He has incredible power spikes along the way to C6 where his power doubles compared to his C0. So for the rest of this section, I will compare only his C6 to Yelan. But you might notice his C2 is not here, and that's because it shreds resistance, but like I said before, I am not taking that into account, at least for my calculation. But with other comparisons, I will. Okay, now let's look at Yelan. With just her burst, she deals only 96% of the damage that Xingqiu does. You should remember that this is only for her burst. There are 2 more things to take into account. One is her Ascension 1 passive that grants her more HP. With this, we can see that she deals 4% more damage than Xingqiu's burst. Not a huge upgrade, but an upgrade nonetheless. But there is one more thing to take into account, her skill cancel. This does not take into account the damage of her skill, just the extra proc her burst gets from it. This ends up increasing the damage even further to about a 10% damage increase compared to a C6 Xingqiu. However, Xingqiu has a 15% hydro resistance shred, which Yelan does not have. In actual gameplay, this would matter much more than the small increase of damage that Yelan gets with her passive and cancel. Yelan, on the other hand, also has a supportive feature of increasing damage dealt by the current party member, which is also not accounted for. So take what you will. Now let's take a look at the damage difference her constellations make compared to her state at C0. To sum it up really quick, at C1 she gains a 6% damage increase compared to C0. At C2 it turns into a 22% damage increase from C0. Then C4 is a whopping 70% damage increase if she has all stacks of that constellation on her. Then C5, which is also C6, she gains a 96% damage increase from her C0 state. As you can probably tell, her Constellations are freaking nutty, specifically her C4, which grants a crazy jump in damage when she has max stacks of it. And her cons are also similar to Xingqiu's in some regard, because when either is at C6, their damage is basically just doubled from C0. It's absolutely insane. I didn't count her C3 or C6 in here because one boosts the damage of her skill and the other one boosts the damage of her main DPS presence-ness. I also just did this because I thought it would be neat. Now onto their skills. I will just show them both off together because there's not much to know about them. However, I did also compare the Jade Cutter on Xingqiu with Sacrificial Sword, and did find that, not surprisingly, Sac Sword does end up dealing more damage in this regard than Jade Cutter. Since most will be running Sac Sword on Xingqiu, and since it is dealing more damage for his skill, I will be using it for the main comparison with Yelan. For a C0 Yelan, Xingqiu's skill clearly deals more damage, almost double to be precise, and with the Hydro Res Shred on his burst, it would make him superior to Yelan if I also calculated the burst damage for this weapon, but I forgot. So yeah. Anyways, at C1, Yelan would level the playing field, as she is able to deal more damage than him, effectively making her better because of her all-type damage buffing. The increase to her skill after this point is very minimal, however. At C6 compared to C1, the total damage increase is only about a 26%, which is not a whole lot, especially due to the amount of resources required to achieve such a high constellation Yelan. So now let's chat a little bit. Is she better than Xingqiu? Well, I think so. She's able to output more damage than Xingqiu almost at any point. If he was able to swap between Sac Sword and Jade Cutter for his skill and burst respectively, then he most likely would be better if she was at C1. However, that's impossible at the moment, so I would say Yelan beats out C6 Xingqiu in most regards. And then with any constellations, she is almost a direct upgrade. Since Xingqiu does help make your DPS tankier through damage and knockback resistance, plus some healing and Hydro Res Shred, I do think that he does have some places where he works better, like with Kokomi. But overall, it does seem like Yelan's kit is just better Xingqiu, as not only will she deal more damage, but she will also be buffing your characters on the field. Did we need this type of character? Absolutely not. Xingqiu was broken enough, and now we have a better version, which is absurd, but it's fun. Anyways, what do you guys think of Yelan? Tell me your thoughts in the comments down below, as I would love to hear them all. And maybe consider hitting that like button down below too, or even that subscribe button. Tantalizing, ain't it? But yeah, that's all I have for today. Aaron out. Bye bye.